Welcome to our webinar on double tax agreements and the generic principles and model conventions. And this is part one of a two-part series looking at income and capital gains tax, double tax agreements in the UK. As our objectives today is to examine the general purpose of double tax agreements and to consider that in the context of the key provisions of the OECD Model Tax Convention. Specifically, we'll be looking at the role of double tax agreements in UK taxation. We'll be looking at the types of model conventions that we have. And then I'm going to consider the main types of income and capital gain sources that we come across and how they are dealt with under the OECD Model Convention. So starting with the role of double tax agreements in UK taxation. First of all, what do we mean by double taxation? Well, if we step back right until Adam Smith and the Wealth of Nations, the right to tax someone, any individual or entity, is based on the principle of sovereignty. So it's does the individual reside somewhere? Or do they live somewhere? Are they subject to the rules of a particular government or ruling entity? And so if that government or ruling entity has sovereignty, then we would say that they would have a right to tax. Now, most governments interpret this as meaning that they can tax anyone who is resident within their borders, or they can tax income or capital which derives from a source within their borders. And this double concept of residence and source is seen throughout the world. And so that would be because of the way domestic laws rule, so it's the domestic laws that determine whether you have tax in a particular jurisdiction or not, because that could lead to tax being in more than one place on the same income. So, for example, if I was to tax someone who was resident in the UK, that would be on their worldwide taxation, then and they actually had an income source in, say, for example, Spain, and Spain said, well, you're not resident in Spain, but actually your income derives from Spain. So using our source rules, we would try to tax that as well.